Space nerds, if you're looking for a clear sign that Star Citizen is kind of changing, look no further than the live events. Star Citizen Alpha 4.9 is in Evocati, and we've got some patch notes to look at. I'm going to tell you kind of the biggest thing that's coming, which is Siege of Orison, no surprise. But also, we're just going to look at what's being tested right now. It's currently closed testing, just for people who are in Evocati. But this should be probably going to PTU by the maybe next week, end of next week, a couple weeks from now. More people will be playing it, and this footage will actually be available for me to show you. For now, let's talk about what's in these patch notes, because it's, things are changing. First up, it obviously is an Evocati patch. Server info is on the PTU channel. Long-term persistence is enabled and will be between the PTU releases. This is always good to see, because if you wanted to test something out, like progressing through like a mission chain or something, or it can be really annoying if there's a lot of resets. The main focuses are the instanced Siege of Orison build, which is the big main thing coming, and something that we will be we're going to go back and cover what CIG was saying about this last year, because it's changed even a little bit since then, just 8 months ago. But also, Rocco Battaglia. Now, I'm not gonna, you can see this video here. I published this morning. And I actually wanted to publish this video last month. Generally, I try to put out a supporter exclusive if I've done it. I put one out every month for people who support us. And then I make it public however many months later. So this one was supposed to go public last month, but unfortunately, because of the streamathon going so much longer than we expected and all the stuff happening, I didn't get to make a supporter exclusive, so I just released it this month, and it's just barely late. I was hoping I would get it out just like a little bit before this happened, but this is a big deal. I know Siege of Orison is the main thing here, but Rocco Battaglia coming in is the first real quest giver, mission giver type of person, and it's going to be a different way of us taking missions. You get to go and talk to somebody in person. You get to run missions that they've guided you through and then come back and actually hear their response to how you did. I don't know if you're going to be able to, do certain levels of completion, but that is how these missions used to go before. The Gundo mission, Kovalik's Gundo mission, many of you may remember, or even Tisha Pacheco's mission where you go and you have to break the people off of the prison ship. These are like more serious things. So I'm excited to see what they have included. I'm going to try and jump in over the next 24, 48 hours so I can give you guys a better report later, but keep an eye out for this stuff. Now, besides the known issues and bugs and glitches and stuff that's going on, let us take a look at the actual features and gameplay. First up is the instant Siege of Orison. They say, Siege of Orison returns as a fully reworked instanced cooperative FPS mission. This update introduces mission instancing to Star Citizen for the first time. This is a pretty big deal. A system that creates a private closed environment only by you and your party, shared by you and your party. This new version of Siege of Orison removes ship combat entirely and redesigns the experience as a focused 3-island FPS mission set in the Inspiration Park cluster. Now, to get started on my criticisms here, I never had much of a problem with Siege of Orison having ship combat in it. I thought it kind of mixed things up and made it a little bit more difficult to figure out how it was going to run. And in this little setup here, you can actually hear them explain how they had to overcome this kind of an obstacle in the original design.
For this event, we have a IFI, which is the Identifier Friend or Foe Inverter. And basically what that does is that's going to turn the platform's turrets onto the side of the Ninetales. It also affects the restricted area, so you won't be able to fly your ship in.
So there is like a little bit of lore there in that you're fighting against Ninetales. There is also some gameplay aspect there where you would disable the turrets and bring your ships in. I worry, part of me is like, okay, they're trying to simplify this to make sure it's easy to do, easy to run, easy to replicate. I also worry that they're shying away from more complex things that have combined arms like this because it's hard to balance, and I really hope that's not the case. We've seen a couple other situations where that is definitely a thing. Hathor is certainly a place where that's still true. But I hope they're not shying away from it as like a main part of this game. There should, I think, almost always be something flying and something on the ground. It just makes sense when it's this readily available. But I understand if they want this to be a closed environment that's easy to do, it's instanced, so there's nobody flying in. I get that for this example. Makes me a little nervous about future ones, though. It also falls in line with the fact that Xenothreat is also coming back. This is another thing that is being brought back in and used to be an event that was very much
and players.
Combined arms.
Have to be a lot.
FPS. You would have to do FPS segments. You'd have to do some salvaging stuff. You'd have to do some ship combat and even some cargo hauling.
Players who weren't quite sure of what they had to do from moment to moment.
The game is so deep, but maybe people aren't understanding that. Like, 'cause it's the first time we've done it. Like, you can scan these wrecks and you can see that there are still cargo aboard and that there are enemies aboard before you even go on.
So part of me is thinking maybe they're just trying to simplify these for the new players coming on as the starting point for what these will be. And over time, they're going to definitely complicate them more, hopefully. Let's continue, though. Ninetales have locked down access to the islands, overriding local security systems and stationing their lieutenants and commander throughout the platforms. Pretty similar to previously. Crusader Security has contracted Intersect to get control back. This is another big change. You are no longer fighting with Crusader. They're moving away. Many of you may remember I have raged about this. Astropub has raged about this. Other people have even talked about this, the whole idea of how reputation works in this game. They are removing these factions and replacing them with one universal faction to kind of handle all types of gameplay in that sector throughout the game. So instead of working for ArcCorp Security, Crusader Security, Hurston Security, People's Alliance Security, it's all Intersect. And if you worked for Intersect at ArcCorp, you can go to Levski and you'll get missions based on the reputation that you built at ArcCorp. Is that good for the game? Is that better from your guys' perspective? I personally don't like it, but I understand that they're trying to simplify the game to make it more shippable, and this is just another part of it. So you're fighting with Intersect, and your objective on each island is the same. Clear through the Ninetales resistance, reset the security network control towers, defeat the island lieutenant, and flip the IFI, as he mentioned, to restore Crusader's airspace control, then move to the next island. Okay, so it sounds like you'll at least probably, I'm guessing this is just going to be a shuttle ride to the next island, if anything. Each island is progressively more difficult, with the final island culminating in a boss fight against Mendo Ren inside the admin center barge. And I am guessing that Mendo Ren has done his eating and gotten his Wheaties in and is coming back at us with a little bit bigger suit of armor. Let me see if I can find it here. There we go. So this is probably a redesign coming to Ninetales in 4.9 specifically to fill out the Siege of Orison FPS focused event, right? So you can see up here, it says this is the Ninetales boss lineup. So these are probably lieutenants, commander, Mendo Ren. He's going to be in that new super heavy armor. Perfect way for them to bring it out. I hope it's a good fight, man. I could see this being a great sort of like, it screams Arasaka to me. And I really hope that this just feels sort of like the boss fight where you're playing against, what's his name? The first dude, or no, the dude who was fought in the demo for Cyberpunk 2077. Oh God, the guy with the face stuff. I can't remember his name. Vandal, Jacob, Randall. I don't know, but I think this could make for a great boss fight, and I hope that it plays well. Clearly, they are pushing this as the FPS closed down, instanced thing to do. Xenothreat's probably going to be the ship combat focused thing to do. I wouldn't be surprised if they instance that as well. But kind of try and categorize what each of these things is doing now in the game, because besides calling everything an event, these are all different things now. Siege of Orison is different from the Onyx facilities, is different from the extractor stations where TSG happens, is different from the Vandal smuggling missions. And they're starting to, I think, archetype these things a little bit better so that you can understand what you're getting into when you try them out. Level design across all three islands has been updated for better sightlines, improved combat flow, and navigation that suits the instanced no-ship format. Tonight's test will focus highly on the first island. All right. Now, the details. Closed instance, this is going to be a max of 4 players. When you enter the instanced elevator, it locks to you and your party. No other players can join without being invited. The maximum party size for this instance is 4. If you try to enter as a group of 6, the first 4 are admitted and the remaining 2 are notified they cannot enter. I understand this is normal for a lot of games, but this is going to be a very, very, this is going to be a frustrating kind of thing. For just in general, when you're it's going to mean people are picking their party sizes a lot more strategically based on the content they're going to do, as opposed to just kind of chucking people onto a ship and seeing what you could do with that group. I have wondered to myself, what's going to happen when we have caps? And at least in this first iteration, things can always change. They're just going to basically tell those last 2 people, hey, you can't go in. This is going to be absolutely awful when we start getting instanced battles in space, fleet battles. Like imagine if TSG was instanced and you had a party of like 20 people with you who were all going to fly in, and I don't know, you got 10 people are there, the cap is 15. So then the last group that flies in is coming in on a javelin and they've got 15 more people on it. What happens? Do 5 of those people, wait, what is math? Yeah, 10 of those people, sorry. Would 10 of those people just suddenly be blocked and sent back to Levski or something? I don't know how that's going to work when we're flying in spaceships and entering these instances naturally, but they want them to work basically in a way where you don't notice that they're happening. In fact, I can go back to where Benoit was talking about this last year.
So it's not about one thing or the other. It's really about unlocking developers' ability to create curated content. So that said, how will it work? Instancing is really an evolution over static to dynamic meshing. We want your instances to be as seamless as your instance hangars, meaning that when you take an elevator, you exit the elevator, you're inside the instance. A gateway opens, you cross that gateway, you're now into your instances. Could be also a quantum jump into an instance that you don't even see. The transition is just like a dynamic mesh transition. And so throughout the universe, we will be able to add these areas that are open or closed instances that allow you to join in either with a party and have a reserved instance for your party, or join in open instances that has a number of slots. And so
I think the open instances is really the answer, and I hope they talk more about that. This is clearly closed, and that's probably the easiest thing for them to test right now. So we will see how this progresses. I'm not gonna panic yet. I do think that instancing is very good for gameplay, especially for making certain types of gameplay that they want us to experience in a certain way. But I hope that it is not applied everywhere, and it's done in a way that still allows people to just stumble into situations with their friends. I think one of the biggest things people loved about Siege of Orison back when it was first playing was how easy it was to just like stumble across a random group of people who were fighting through with you and kind of team up. It sucks when those people suck and attack you or cause problems for you, but generally it's been really, really cool to just kind of like link up with people and figure things out. Or like you see that they're held down by the NPCs and they don't know, they can't really get around some problem, and you can come in and be the reinforcements. That was cool. Even without VoIP, that was cool. With VoIP, I would love it. But we'll see what this kind of model works, how it works for them.
Make sure to check them all.
Last little bit that he mentions here that I think is interesting.
We decided we weren't going to hold the player's hand in this mission. There are a lot of optional secret objectives that players will have to figure out for themselves.
So that, I think, is the kind of thing that you really can't do correctly in an open environment. That's probably one of the biggest benefits of doing this closed Siege of Orison instance is now they can have a whole bunch of secrets and Easter eggs and little things that you can get to go do that they know 100% of players will see because it's always set up for whoever's in that instance. That's a good benefit. Now, entering and exiting the mission acceptance is kind of like how he described it. An optional one-time intro contract is available anywhere in Stanton that directs first-time players to instance entrance at the Crusader showroom rooftop. On any subsequent visit, you can enter directly. When you step into the instances, the Siege of Orison mission is automatically accepted for everyone in the party with no manual pickup required. Okay, so you could just kind of walk in and do it. Entering solo, you can enter the instance solo and play, or share the auto-accepted mission with other players to allow them to join your instance after you are inside. Okay, so people can join their own instance if they want, or if they accept your mission, they will join in on your instance halfway through. That's being able to join after the fact is very nice. That's good. Entrance location, take the elevator to the showroom rooftop in Orison. From there, board the shuttle to the instance transit platform and enter the instance via the elevator on the platform. The transit platform serves as a staging area between islands throughout the mission. First I heard in the tech preview for this was that this staging area actually proved to be an easy spot to get shot and killed because it was not Armistice. Armistice is the complication that sits on top of all of this, and we'll talk about that at a more future moment when I know more of how this works. But I got to get in game and try this out. If you're in GII and you've got Evocati, keep an eye out. I'm going to be trying to run one of these later today just to get some eyes on and a first early impression. But the biggest thing I think is just they have changed things up a little bit since even this. And that's what I'm most interested in finding out when I do get into the game today. Why is it max 4 players? Because this is a pretty big area. The idea behind it in my mind was that you're splitting into squads and taking on separate buildings or separate streets at the same time. If you have a whole gigantic city block of floating platforms and all these buildings and stuff, there's just way too much potential for this than 4 players, in my opinion. You should be having a 4-player group running up this wall, another 4-player group descending through this building, another group up on this tower, clearing this. There's so much potential here, man, for just a more tactical feeling situation that I don't think we're going to get from 4 players. I think it's going to be tons of fun, great gameplay. But as far as the freedom to experiment as you want with a group of people doing certain things, 4 players just does not seem like enough to me. So hopefully they can expand that. Hopefully there's some changes to it as we go forward. Hopefully this is just a first step. I mean, it is just a first step in testing. Hopefully, though, we see some quick iteration on this. Leave your feedback, though. If it works, it works. Let them know and tell them what you like or dislike about it. The other big thing, though, that's coming in this update is the new mission giver, Recco Battaglia. In tonight's build, they say we will have the new narrative story missions from Recco Battaglia available. You'll get to play all 3 chapters, for which the first one is available from by default, though chapters 2 and 3 are available once you've gained enough reputation by completing other repeatable contracts Battaglia is offering. So if that's if they've done 3 story missions, but then they also let you take repeatable contracts from Battaglia that aren't the first story mission, that would be cool. If you have to grind the same first story mission over and over to get this reputation, that would suck, but that does not sound like what this is saying. So they've loaded the mission givers with a little bit more than just their bespoke missions, which is nice. It gives you another way besides the mobiGlas to get your daily activities. To ensure you get the experience of all these missions in a reasonable time frame, we've lowered the reputation requirements for the later missions. Thank you. You will be able to see and accept these missions in the mobiGlas while in Nyx. All right, this is exciting. I am 4.9. These are 2 pretty big things to come in 4.9 on top of whatever else might be coming. This is it, though. This is the meat and potatoes of this update, and I think this is actually going to offer us a pretty decent amount of content, if it works, for at least the 4.9 patch cycle. Also, with instancing, that's a pretty big drop of new technology. I'm surprised to see that they're not instancing Recco Battaglia. I do think eventually instancing is going to be the kind of way that they do mission givers, but we'll see what they go with that. Either way, this has been a long update, much longer than I meant for it to be. I hope you got your info on the 4.9 Evocati. As excited as I am to try it out, I'll check back in with you to let you know how it's going. Thanks for checking this one.